The White House on the brink of a health care proposal. It is beginning to refocus its attention on how to resuscitate the economy, but it is a complicated puzzle, and that's what our next guest here is going to help us solve here a little bit here. Pam Villarreal is the senior policy analyst for the NCPA, the National Center for Policy and Analysis. Good evening. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, okay, we want to get to two things here. We want to talk about the national debt. We also want to talk about Social Security. And if I cough, you just keep going.
All
I
right.
apologize now. National debt. I'm reading here, the Senate is considering raising the national debt from $12.3 million to $13 million. Is that correct?
Actually, President Obama has already signed an approval to raise the debt ceiling, so that is now actually $14.3 trillion.
So it's up to 14.3 and trillion.
Right.
Sorry, I'm saying million. I mean trillion. So how does, we wish it was a million, how does it work how does that work? How do you just raise, is it like when your credit card gets raised, the limit on it? I mean, how can you just raise it?
Well, basically, the Congress approves it, and then President approves it, and it authorizes the government to borrow extra money in order to fulfill its obligations. But you make a good point. It's like having a revolving charge card.
Right.
They have this debt, and they're making some interest payments on it, but they're not really paying down the principal. So it's really basically like, you know, increasing your credit card limit.
And so what does that mean for everyday taxpayers like you and me? Why should we care about it? If it seems like, well, they can just raise it, well, then go ahead and raise it. Why should we care then?
Well, in the short run, it may not seem to make that much difference, but in the long run, debt does hurt the economy.
Right.
One thing that debt does is it does weaken the dollar. It makes the dollar less attractive to international investors, and in order to attract people to the dollar, you have to raise interest rates. Well, by raising interest rates, you affect borrowers here at home.
Right.
So, and eventually something is going to happen to pay down this debt. If it gets unmanageable where the government cannot pay interest payments on it, then there's going to have to be some type of tax reform or spending cuts in order to start paying down that debt.
Right. Obviously, that's why so many people are concerned about it. Now, the other thing here I want to talk about is Social Security. You know, we haven't heard a whole lot of talk about Social Security because we've been so wrapped up in health care for the past year. But you say this could be sort of the next big bailout, right?
Well, Social Security right now has a very large, what they call unfunded liability. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, out of the past year, about 7 months out of the past 12 months, the payroll taxes that are used to pay Social Security have not been enough to pay the benefits to our retirees. This is due in large part to the fact that some people have lost their job and they're taking early retirement benefits. But every year, the Social Security and Medicare trustees come out with a report that details how much in the whole these entitlement programs are. Last year, it was estimated that it would take about $107 trillion of having money in the bank today earning interest to pay these benefits into perpetuity. Now, they'll come out with another report in the spring, and it's likely to look a lot worse.
So this is also something that obviously is going to need to be tackled at
Right.
some point then. All right, Pamela Villarreal, good to have you here. Thank you very much for sorting some of it out for us here this evening. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.